everybody. Rich Schaefer, excited to come back to you guys. And today I've got a very new fast friend, and he's become a fast friend in about like 15 minutes. But gentlemen, I'm excited to introduce to everybody today. Gilbert Myers lives up in Delaware. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So he's enjoying life right now, but he's not going to be enjoying it so much in about 2 or 3 months when it gets cold. But he is a real estate veteran investor, and has been using our program for many years, 3-4 years. Very dynamic guy, has a background in the financial service industry. We have some common paths that we've went down together, and I can't tell you, I think this is probably one of the more exciting opportunities I've had to actually interview somebody from a testimonial. So Gilbert, if you would, maybe tell a little bit about yourself personally, maybe your overall situation, life, family, and what you do professionally.
Sure. I initially started out as a basketball coach and a school teacher. Didn't really
Oh,
care
that
for that.
explains it. That explains it
Yeah,
right there.
didn't care for that routine every day. It was looking to do something more entrepreneurial in business. At the age of 32, I got into real estate, got my real estate license. Prior to that, I had a couple of rental properties, but it really took off after I got my real estate license. And from there, I've built a real estate company of about 35 agents. I've got a property management company that manages about 215 doors, and I've been able to acquire about 40 units of my own. So I run multiple businesses, and financially, sometimes it can get a little chaotic and a little crazy. So when I got introduced to your company, I was excited about the possibility of maybe getting a little more organized and relieving some of the stress that would come when that bill would come due that I wasn't expecting, and not sure how to pay it or where to pay it from. And so I really felt like being introduced to the company was a blessing.
Yeah.
And it really actually has relieved a lot of financial stress and put me on a path with a date in mind for where I can achieve the goals that I want to achieve. Whereas before I didn't really have a date. I just kind of throwing money everywhere, and I knew I was in the right direction, but didn't really have a plan, didn't really have a path.
It's funny
So
you say it that particular way. I'm sure you grew up similarly, but when I was a kid, my grandfather had an old Ford Crown Victoria, right? And he had a big old compass that he had stuck to the dash, or to the dash, right? And back in the day, that was about as accurate as we could get: north, south, east, west, right? And then
right.
maps became obviously more detailed. Remember MapQuest? Well, that was a lot of fun. I had to
I
print
used
it
it a
out.
lot.
I used it all the time. There was one flaw in MapQuest: if you got lost, you didn't have another computer or printer to replot it out. So
No.
it got a little tough. So you mentioned something really powerful. I wonder if you could talk about this. That we talk a lot about using our program and it being referred to as like financial GPS, right? And
Yes.
creating financial foresight, because a lot of things, aggregators, budgeting tools, digital spreadsheets, can tell us where we are or even where we've been. What we really want to know is where we're going and what's the best and most efficient and quickest way to get there. Maybe you could talk
Yeah.
a little bit about how it's helped you. You mentioned planning and obviously the
Yeah.
dashboard of the program and having some time
Yeah.
detonated objectives. What's that look like for you?
Sure. So I'm 50 now. When I saw the program, I was probably about 46.
Okay.
And my goal was to retire at 55. That was kind of my goal. I wanted to have all my financial things in order. I want to have my financial house in order and be able to really kick back at 55. That's when my youngest kid graduates high school. And
Yeah.
my wife and I love to travel. So I want to be able to do that. And, I was working towards that goal, but I really had no idea if I was on track or not. And after getting set up with the program, I realized that I could actually get all my stuff in order by the age of 54, which
Wow.
doesn't hurt to arrive at your goal early, right?
Wow.
So I'm sure that at some point I would have reached my goal, but I just felt like without the GPS that's provided here, the financial GPS, I had, I don't know if it would have been 55 or 57 or 58, or, I don't know where it would have been. Now
Or
I can
60,
see it,
probably.
or who knows, right? Who knows? But I mean, literally, if you looked at my accounts and stuff when I first got started, I've had to venture to say I probably had maybe I don't know, 16, 18 accounts in
Wow.
there, and
Wow.
I've been able to eliminate probably almost half of them.
That's
So
fantastic.
now instead of paying 18, different bills a month, I'm paying 9.
Right.
That in itself is
Hmm.
just freeing up time and it also relieves stress. You know what I
That's
mean?
big.
So it's been really great,
Hmm.
and like I said, I use it
Regularly.
almost daily, almost
So
daily.
give me an
Probably
example. Yeah, give an example of what you might think about using it for. Is it the true cost
sure,
calculator? Is it the budgeting? What's
sure.
that look like for you?
Sure. I've done both. I've done some projections like you can use it to say, look, my wife and I were talking about doing a trip to Italy, and
Yeah.
it's not cheap to go to Italy with 4 kids. So, we can you can
No,
put
no, the
that in
kids
there
are
and
staying home.
advice.
It gets way too expensive to bring the kids, man.
Right. So we might just wait till they're all 18 and her and I go. But the point is you can put the expenses for that in there and
Right.
see, okay, does that set me, how far back is that going to set me? Is it, if it sets me back, 3 months, well, maybe it's worth it. If it sets me
Right.
back 3 years, it might not be worth
Right.
it. So you can do things like that. I use it. I used to always keep a check register, whether I kept it in an Excel spreadsheet or in the
Yeah, I was
checkbook
old
itself.
school about that too.
Honestly, I use my I use my MoneyMax account as my check register. So I
Wow.
don't use a check register anymore. When I do a transaction, if I write a check or if I get a deposit, I go right my MoneyMax account on my phone or on my computer. I enter it. I did one today. I had a deposit today for $650. I went right in my MoneyMax account, put deposit, boom. I don't even keep a check register.
Now, do
And
you
then what I do once
utilize
a
the
month,
Account Connect feature?
I have not used that yet, but once a
Yeah.
month I do. I sit down with my bank account and my
Reconcile.
MoneyMax account, and I just I go through. There's a nice little feature where you can
Yep.
check the box where it clears. I love that, and
Hmm.
I balance my checking
Wow.
account with my MoneyMax account once a month or so, and it's great. It's super
Now,
easy.
you
It's all
you
online. I can access it from anywhere, right? Because
sure.
I can do it on my phone with these nice glasses. I can see good.
Come on,
Go
we were
on the
just talking
phone.
about that. I'm a little sensitive about the reading glass thing right now.
It's just part of life. So, but yeah, I really love the mobility of it, the accessibility of it,
Yeah.
and I can say this too. In the beginning, I called customer service a couple times. I had a live person on the phone within 30 seconds to 60 seconds,
Wow.
and they were knowledgeable and they helped me, and I got things organized. I honestly haven't needed to call them in quite a long time because it is really user friendly.
Yeah.
But my experience in the beginning, when I did call 2 or 3 times just to get familiar and organized, the people were very helpful, and I
I'm
was very pleased with the
I'm really glad to hear
experience.
that, and I'll even hit
Yeah,
on that for a second. Like, listen, people wonder, what makes it so unique. Yes, we're going on 20 years of research development and evolving of the program, of course. Yes, it's $20 million that we've developed collectively in putting this together, and millions of lines of code, and all of that
yeah,
is a big part of the engine. But unlike a lot of other things, and we've all had this experience, we buy something online that's tech related, you get no support, you get no guidance, you get no. So I think it's not just the obvious benefit of the program, which I think is far and away above anything in the industry, but there's also that you have a real live dedicated person at the beginning that's walking you through, that's gathering your documents, that's doing the analysis, that's obviously helping you
yeah,
register it. But we don't leave it there. Now all of a sudden, now we kick it over to corporate, and they actually
mhm,
do a coaching and training call, but they verify
yeah,
everything, every balance, every debt, every interest rate, every frequency of
yeah,
payment, and then they activate what we call our guarantee, which we guarantee the results for life. So you only pay for it one time. There's no monthly subscription. There's no yearly renewal. There's
right.
no upgrade fee when we do it. You're literally having ownership of it for life. How many times have you added a new debt or a new mortgage or a new vehicle when you've had it?
A couple times.
Mm-hmm.
I've added a vehicle. I added a personal loan at one point, and in the beginning, I think I probably did have to call the first time just to get walk through that. But once I'd done it one time, it was easy
Yeah,
to
then you
do it
knew.
on my own. So I never had to call for that again. But like you said, I mean, yeah, I've been able to consolidate a lot of different debts and pay them off in a way that is most efficient
That's
with the program.
fantastic.
You know,
It really impresses
yeah,
me to hear that. And like I said, respectfully, I'm probably immune to it because I've dealt with about 6,000 people here and so forth. And,
right.
we just know it's how it works, but it's so unique. And I think what's great is, there's a lot of great concepts and theories and strategies and ideas, and all of that in a bag of chips doesn't get you a lot in life sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's all about execution. You talked about getting a personal trainer recently, right?
Yeah.
Joining a gym is great, but it doesn't guarantee we go. But if you join a gym and it's right across the street, conveniently located, and you get your best friend to be your workout partner to give you grief if you don't show up, and you get a pedometer to track your steps and a calorie counter and a heart rate monitor, and you get a personal trainer, you are exponentially more likely to go to work out
Yeah.
and get results. And that's really what we've tried to create. In fact, even on the system, as you know, you can do a direct message, you can do an email, you can set up a Zoom call, you've got tutorial videos.
Yeah.
I really believe that it can be as simple or as robust. I've got some engineers and some of my buddies that are actuaries that are really deliberate, methodical guys. They'll log a pack of gum they just bought 5 minutes ago. Okay. But I've got other folks that might be older, have a simpler situation. They log on once, maybe twice a month. But if you
Mhm.
were just managing it once a week, and I don't just mean the budgetary things, which you use it for that, right?
Yeah.
But if you were just using it to budget and to be able to verify transactions, or more specifically, transfer requests and so forth, you probably wouldn't need to log on to it more than 3 to 5 minutes a week.
No, in fact, there, like once a week, I probably do go on and go through, okay, I paid this, student loan for my daughter. I paid this car payment. I did this, and boom, boom, boom. It takes me, I don't know, 5 minutes, 10
Yeah.
minutes, just go through, check those off. They're all taken care of. Like I said, I use it for the accounting aspect of it as
That's
well,
great.
which Karen thought was hilarious when I shared that with her. She's like,
Yeah.
what? I'm like, yeah, I don't keep a check registry anymore. I do everything in Money Max. She's like, really? I'm like, yeah.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah, so it's just, but yeah, I mean, it wouldn't, if I didn't use it for the accounting side of it, yeah, it probably maybe 10, 15 minutes a week would be plenty of time to
Yeah, and you
check through
listen,
what
you
you're
have a lot
doing.
of properties
Yeah.
too. You're not even a
And as
normal
I say, it also
situation.
depends. It depends on the person and how many accounts and how many mortgages and car payments and stuff you're paying. Obviously, the more
Yeah.
you have, you guys spend a little more time on
Well,
there.
not everybody
We're-
has 40 properties, Gilbert, so your situation is a little bit more complicated.
little bit. But with the Money Max account, it really simplifies it. I got to tell you.
So let's
Really
get
does.
this straight. So you're married, you got 4 kids, you have a real estate company, you got 30, 40 agents, you've got you manage properties, several hundred properties, you got about
Mhm.
40 properties yourself. I guess your property management company has 250. You've
Yep.
been using it 3, 4 years. Obviously, you make a great income, but income could be feast or famine at any given month. How would you describe how powerful it is in terms of actually helping? Because some people assume, oh, I have to have the same amount of money. Well, when we're self-employed, it could be feast or famine. How powerful
Right.
do you think the impact of understanding the shift that occurs when you have those kind of change your budget? How has that
Yeah.
been for you?
Well, like I mentioned before, the relief of stress that I felt after getting set up, I can't emphasize enough how great that was. And one of the reasons is because prior to the Money Max account, I never really had a written budget. With the Money Max account, I set up a budget, right? I also set up minimums for my savings account and other things, so a cushion that I'm comfortable with.
Yeah.
And therefore, if I do have a month, which I have, where I didn't make as much money as I normally do, I just go in the Money Max account. I enter what I did make, close it for the month, and then the Money Max account does all the adjusting for me. I don't have to figure out how to rob Peter to pay Paul. The Money Max account says, oh, you just pull a little money from this savings account, you'll be okay. And the next month I do better and put it back, and it'll have sometimes transfer some money back in the savings account. And I don't have to think about it, right? So like, that's the key. Is I spend plenty of time thinking about my businesses. I don't want to have to think about, where to pull money from to pay this bill or that bill or whatever, if I have a good or bad month. You know what I mean? So
Totally.
yeah. So that's the thing that, like I said, I just can't emphasize enough the relief of stress I felt after getting going with it and getting it set up. I remember telling my wife, wow, this was really just a great program to get hooked up with, because now it's taken all the thought out of it. It's taken out all the surprise out of my monthly budgeting and everything. And everything's right there on, depending on which view I'm looking at.
Right. That's right.
A lot of it's, and I can hit accounts and I can look at all accounts on one page. Boom, right
That's
there.
right.
Interest rates, what the balance is, it's all right there. Boom. Or I can look at my budget and go, okay, do I need to adjust this budget a little bit? Am I making more money consistently? Am I not making more money? Did I, pay something off that I, want to take out of my budget or whatever. And so it's just been really
really, really,
great
really
to
good. Gilbert, I think
do
what's
that.
funny is I talk a lot about that, you know, life happens, right? And life isn't going to stop lifing. I always say, you fix the washer and the dryer breaks, you fix the transmission, the brakes go out, and that's never going to stop
True.
happening. This
No.
kid's going to college, this one's going to get married. Talk a little bit about the true cost calculator, how often you use that just to kind of get a better evaluation of the real true cost associated with making a potential decision, and how that sometimes factors into whether or not it makes sense for you to move forward.
Yeah, I've looked at that a few different times. And most of the time we're pretty conservative family. We're not like real extravagant.
Good.
So usually I kind of look at the true cost. We don't do a lot of extravagant stuff. Most of it is just normal day-to-day family living and paying for, I got two daughters in college, they need vehicles,
You're scaring me. I'm
and
trying
so,
not to think about the car thing in 2 years or college in 4 years. I'm
oh,
telling you.
it's coming, buddy. It is coming. But the thing is, I think for me, one of the things that I'll do is I'll say, look, I want to have this, like, let's just say I know my daughter's, college is coming up. I want to have this debt eliminated before I take on a college loan, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I can go in there and calculate, I can put rate in the money max account. Okay, I need to pay this off by this certain date. I need to pay $300 a month on that account.
Or
And that way, every month when it comes
$327.14,
through,
right?
I just automatically pay it. And that way I can really budget and schedule around what my goal is,
So shifting, a lot of times people ask me, I'm on different radio shows and podcasts, and they're always like, what's the secret sauce? How does it work? Yes, there's factorial math calculations. There's obviously the algorithms and all the things the engines that work to help calculate all this stuff instantly, right? But where I think the big part of it lies, you alluded to it a couple of times, when we refer to the dashboard, because we always think of the example of GPS, right? The GPS says your ETA, your estimated time of arrival, is 8.6 minutes, and you got this many more minutes and this many more miles to go. But if something changes, and it's going to, the recalculation. How does knowing the day, month, and year you could be out of debt, and by the way, exactly how much interest you're going to pay or can save doing it, how does that change your outlook on opportunities that you can see yourself making possible in the future? Obviously, you talked about peace of mind, but I think just the hope and optimism in terms of reaching retirement, what does that do? How does that make you feel?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people feel like they're on a treadmill or like, on one of those little hamster wheels, and they're just running and running and running. And I heard it put one time that a lot of people are like a groundhog. They start digging and they're digging and they're digging and they're digging. And one day they pop up and they go, how'd I get here? Because they didn't really have a plan for where they're going.
Oh,
they're just
awesome.
digging, and they're working hard. But if you're working hard without an end goal or without a destination in mind, how are you going to get there? So I think for a person who is goal oriented and for a person who wants to plan for their future, I don't think you could do better than have a money max account to help you achieve your financial goal.
I tell you what's so powerful about you saying that, and I know we have to wrap up, but honestly, I could talk to you all day. Here's one thing we hear a lot, right? Generally we say that the pricing is adjusted according to the need, right? Some people don't even have a home or just don't have a mortgage, right? That's a very entry level version of our program. That's less expensive. You got those that you could have unlimited debt. I've seen millions, but they only can have up to 3 mortgages. But we also launched the version of the program that you use, which is allowing for multiple properties, multiple loans and mortgages, which could be up to 99, right? Now you start seeing people have the ability. I'm curious what the numbers are that it's projecting that you're going to be able to save in terms of total interest in your personal profile. I'm almost curious to know what that number is roughly.
I'm not 100% sure without logging on.
Because you don't even look at that anymore, right? Probably at this point.
I don't. I just look at, honestly, for me, it was the date that I was
attracted to. What is that right now? How many more months and years you got left?
So I want to say I'm right around like 4.6
to be totally debt free.
4.2, 4.6. It fluctuates depending on what I'm, because sometimes I see a good opportunity come along, I can't help myself. So I buy another rental property. And that, of course, that sets me back a little bit, but it sets me back time frame, but not financially.
So
You know
let's
what I
put this
mean?
up. So within 5 years, roughly, give or take right now,
Yeah,
the system is suggesting you're going to be totally and completely debt free within the next 5 years.
sure. Yep.
Now,
Yep.
I mean, obviously you're successful. You've done a lot of great things. I think sometimes we have people think, oh, this is a system just for really, really simple people who don't make a lot of money. And or, oh, it's only good for people that have a lot of money discretionary. What
Right.
would you say to people like that that might think that, oh, that doesn't really apply to me? It really probably couldn't help me very much. Maybe they only have a little bit of discretionary, or they have a lot of debt and they think it's not meant for that, or they make a little money or a lot of money.
Right. Well, I've kind of at some point in my life been all of those people, by the way. So,
Yeah, same.
um, yeah. So, with the money max account, you can budget and you can kind of almost determine what your discretionary money is.
Yeah,
I kind of manipulate it at times,
yeah.
because I may or may not want to pay something off sooner or later, or I might be doing a cash out refi because I
Mhm.
want to do
Leverage the
something
money.
different.
Hmm.
I might, right? I might, not that I'm suggesting this, but what if I want to buy a boat? I might cash out, refi a house, and go buy a boat. And if I can get a mortgage on the boat, on the house for 7% or 6%, that's better than having a loan on a boat for 15%, right?
Right.
So I'm just saying it allows you to
Yeah.
plug those numbers in and evaluate and look at everything so you can make the decision that's best for you.
I love it.
So
Absolutely love it.
I've adjusted my budget to suit my, you know, plan at the time,
Well, your
and
desires. And I think what's cool is that
yeah,
I think the most powerful thing we can say, and it sounds exactly like what you're saying, is that the ability for it to be suitable and customized for anybody's individual situation, whether they make
yeah,
a lot of money or just a little, whether they have a ton of debt or
yeah,
just a little bit.
yeah. I mean, I think it's ideal for somebody that has a small amount of discretionary money. It's
Hmm.
great for that person because it allows them to see how they can pay things off and create more discretionary money. It's
Right.
great for somebody who has discretionary money like myself, but isn't sure what the best way to use it is, because
Right.
now you can plug it in and it says, hey, this is the best place to use it to save you as much interest as possible. Right. So the other thing is, I haven't mentioned this, but my wife has been pretty much uninterested in our finances throughout our 24 years of marriage. But
That's your job,
when I
Gilbert.
got when I got the Money Max account and everything is all simplified and right there on one page, I could say to her, "Hey, honey, take a look
Wow.
at this. This is all we have left to pay on that. Hey, that couch that you wanted that had the 0% interest. Well, we're going to have that paid off this year or whatever."
Wow.
But
That's awesome.
but it's been good because she can look at it and it's simplified and it's in a format that she can go, oh, that's pretty cool. So we only owe 17,000 on my car,
That's
or
right.
whatever.
That's fantastic.
And
I
see
think
how we're paying
that's,
it off.
I know that
Yeah,
you're kind of at the bottom of the hour, and I know you have a hard
yeah.
stop, but we're going to have you again. And I think that
Okay.
for those that are watching, we actually, for this very reason, we do a free informational webinar once a week, like Tuesdays at 8 o'clock Eastern time. And there's no obligation. It's obviously free. It's just educational, informational about the system. And for those that actually want to get a free analysis done, there's no obligation there, but really they've got nothing to lose but years of potentially tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. What would you say to anybody that thinks it's too good to be true or has trepidation about it? Is it a painful process to go through? Maybe you could wrap up with that.
I could just say that the company is full of great people that offer great support, and that it can't hurt to get
Right.
the evaluation and see what they potentially could do for you. It might make sense, it might not make sense,
Right.
but you get to take a look at it and see if it's going to make sense for you. You get an idea of how much interest you will save, and from that determination, you can decide if it's a program that you want to use. But
Couldn't have said it any
I've
better
been
myself.
I've been very, very happy, very, very pleased with it. So.
Man, I really appreciate that, Gilbert. And I think
Yeah.
it's one of the reasons we offer guarantee, because like people often say, oh, it sounds too good to be true. And I always answer the same way. I say it's good, it's true, and we can prove it. In fact, we
Mhm.
guarantee it because it's math, it's not magic. And I think there's not many things in life. Numbers are the only things that don't lie anymore. 1 + 1 is always going to be 2, and that's why we can obviously guarantee the results. So thank you
Yeah.
so very, very much, Gilbert.
Yeah.
Honestly, and I think the fact that you've been in the financial service industry, you've been in the insurance and securities industry, you've been in real estate, you're not an
Yeah.
uneducated guy about finances, right? But
No.
being able, I think sometimes even the more we have going on, it's a moving target and it's like corralling cats and it's hard to know what to do, how much, and when. And having that guesswork removed is huge. So we'll definitely have you hopefully
Okay.
share your story a little bit on an upcoming informational webinar. But thank you so very much. We're definitely going to
Sure.
stay in touch. You've definitely
Sounds
become a
great.
fast friend. I might have to ask you for some fatherly advice soon. Sounds like you got a little bit more of it than I do. But
Sounds good.
I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining us today.
All right, Rich. Have a great day.
All right, buddy. Thank
See ya.
you.